makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part.
Boris Johnson is done for. His political career is over. It is only a matter of time before he resigns. And this is as a result of the latest allegation of a major social event that happened during the first lockdown. And in this case, one that involved 100 people who were invited to a bring your own booze party at number 10 Downing Street. Now, we don't know if Boris Johnson was at this event. He has consistently denied that he has had any participation in all the previous events that have come to light, although there is one picture of him attending one such party in the garden of number 10. And it is very difficult to believe that someone who is the prime minister is unaware of the social gatherings that take place in your office. But he has, downplayed all of this from the start. But this one is, I think, the cherry on top. I mean, 100 people being invited to a party at the peak of the first lockdown, when human interaction was basically illegal. I was there at the time. Yes, the weather was fabulous during that first lockdown. Everyone obviously wanted to be in gardens drinking with other people, but guess what? You couldn't do that. You could not mingle with people who weren't from your own household. You couldn't be caught talking to someone on the street. If you bumped into a friend on the street uh, and had a conversation with them, like that would be illegal. If there was a police, if there was police seeing you do that, you could get fined. You could not hang out with in parks, nothing, just nothing. So this guy had the gall to organize a bring your own booze party with 100 people at 10 Downing Street. And remember, this is a time, people are furious about this, absolutely furious about this, because at the time, people were also not allowed to see their loved ones in hospitals. People died. They saw their mothers, they saw their fathers, they saw their grandparents die without being able to be with them in person. They had to say goodbye on a freaking iPad. So this was a traumatic experience for tens of thousands of people across the country. And to imagine that one of your family members died and you couldn't say goodbye to them while this motherfucker was having drinks with 100 people in 10 Downing Street and making it illegal for anyone else to even say hi to someone on the street. That is, yeah, that is just beyond the pale. That is beyond the pale. And he's not going to survive this. I can guarantee you, he is not going to politically survive this. So here is the email that was leaked, and now these scandals have been leaking, every other week almost. God knows how many social events were undertaken during this time that went against lockdown rules, but I wouldn't be surprised if this wasn't the last one. But there you go. That was the email that invited all these people, after what has been an incredibly busy period. We thought it would be nice to make the most out of this lovely weather and have some socially distanced drink in the number 10 garden this evening. Please join us from 6 p.m. and bring your own booze. Like this is so pathetic. This is just so pathetic. And official sensitive number 10 only. Yeah. Now I'm just gonna, like I said, the trauma of people who lost loved ones during this first wave. This is a call that I think is just very, very disturbing, because this is something that no family should have to go through. And just imagine the rage that these people feel over the actions of Boris Johnson. So much that this person, a mother who lost her 14-year-old daughter, not to COVID, but she was in the hospital and she could not say goodbye, precisely because of the rules. So this is really a tragic story.
So on May the 1st, 2020, my daughter passed away in hospital. we followed all the rules. And because we were following all the rules, only one parent was allowed to be with her when she passed away. And when I hear comments like the comments that gentleman just, I don't want to call him a gentleman, what he said about the mixing and everything, I'm so angry. And there's nothing no one can do, not even an apology, that can take us back into time and change that.
Oh, I can understand why you're angry. And the idea that both parents couldn't be...
She was 14 years old.
Yeah. Did she die of COVID?
We were in hospital.
No, something else.
She had other conditions, but we were in hospital in and out for a while. And again, only one parent could stay with her. We followed everything. We complied with everything.
Yep, that is the story of God knows how many people in Britain during that first lockdown. And just to imagine that the Prime Minister was having a blast with his mates in number 10. These people will never vote Tory again. I can absolutely guarantee you they will never, ever vote Tory, assuming they did at some point. And you see the reactions of people on Twitter, on social media. This is indefensible. Like the people who have been the most like rabid Tory supporters are just silent about this because they know it's just so egregious that there is no way that you can defend what these people have done. And, politically, like I said, Boris Johnson has had a Teflon coat in which every single scandal has just, slipped away. He has evaded more than any other politician that I am aware of in modern British history, at least certainly since I started living there. Just scandal after scandal, this guy just manages to brush them off. And the media is largely complicit in this because the media just doesn't take his scandals as seriously as they should. Whereas for every other politician, there's a completely different standard. Jeremy Corbyn during the anti-Semitism scandal, like you had every newspaper in Britain talking about that for months, and not a peep about Boris Johnson's own racism. But anyway, this was this morning's Prime Minister Questions, which is every Wednesday, and Boris Johnson got absolutely savaged by Keir Starmer. And I say this as someone who's not a fan of Keir Starmer, but look at what went on.
After months of deceit and deception, the pathetic spectacle of a man who's run out of road. His defence that he didn't realise he was at a party.
Look at his face. Look at his face. This is the face of someone who's just utterly, thoroughly defeated. Look at him. Like, Boris Johnson has always had this, buffoonish demeanor about him. But look at his, like, this is a guy who's just, he knows he's done for. He knows it. Everything that he has done in life to become prime minister at whatever the cost, by whatever means necessary. And once he becomes prime minister, he does such a shit job at it. And now he knows that he's gone. He's going to be disgraced. That is the face of a defeated man. And the mockery.
It is so ridiculous.
Usually when you have these exchanges, you have one side, if one side mocks the other side, you hear the laughs on one side, but then you hear like the boos and the, there's complete silence among the Tory ranks. That's what's so amazing about this exchange. Complete silence. They're not pushing back against this because they know there's just no way they can defend this. There's no way. This is the party of, big about families and things like that. And they just showed that they don't give a shit about anyone. They don't give a shit about anyone.
That it's actually offensive to the British public. He's finally been forced to admit what everyone knew, that when the whole country was locked down, he was hosting boozy parties in Downing Street. Yes. Is he now going to do the decent thing and resign?
I appreciate the point that he's making about the event that I attended. I want to repeat that I thought it was a work event, and Mr. Speaker,
How many work events are bring your own booze in the middle of a pandemic lockdown? Give me a fucking break. What a liar.
I regret very much. I regret very much that we did not do things differently that evening, Mr. Speaker, as I've said, and I take responsibility and I apologise, Mr. Speaker. But as for his political point, I don't think that he should preempt the outcome of the inquiry.
So we've got the Prime Minister attending Downing Street parties, a clear breach of the rules. We've got the Prime Minister putting forward a series of ridiculous denials which he knows are untrue. Yes. A clear breach of the ministerial code. That code says ministers who knowingly mislead Parliament will be expected to offer their resignation. The party's over, Prime Minister. The only question is, will the British public kick him out, will his party kick him out, or will he do the decent thing and resign?
Yeah, so I definitely, the reason why, so he's going to resign. I don't think he's going to get kicked out by the party, because it's gonna look like, you know, the party will want to see some unity. But I think at some point, a critical mass of senior Tory MPs will tell him, your time's up. You got to go for the sake of the party, because his poll numbers are awful. So this is his recent popularity numbers, and they have absolutely tanked. I mean, just look. I mean, people have always thought he's a bit incompetent, but just the gap between this is huge. The public has always seen him as untrustworthy, but more than ever, this one's a key one. Is Boris Johnson strong or weak? And 59% think he's weak. Is he likable? This was his best rating. Like I said, the lovable buffoon, hiding the fact that he is, you know, a malignant narcissist and sociopath. Now most people don't find him likable. In contrast, Keir Starmer, I'm not a big fan of him in any way, but his numbers have improved. They're not great by any stretch of the imagination, but if there was an election right now, I definitely think Keir Starmer would probably win it. Something that I would not have said a few months ago. And this has electoral consequences. So recently there was a by-election in North Shropshire, and the Lib Dems managed to score an impressive victory of 40, almost half the votes in a district that had been conservative dominated since it was created. So this is just stunning. And they can't afford continue losing seats like this. This is a microcosm of what would be expected in a bigger election. And you also see the media, you know, as the scandals started brewing a couple of weeks and months ago, you started seeing the media talk about a potential replacement. There was an article in the Financial Times on the rise of Liz Truss, which the Times also echoed. And these are influential newspapers on the right, and more, you know, the FT's more center right. So this matters when you hear people talk about who's going to succeed you, and the media starts building up this conversation about succession. It is a sign. It is a sign that they've lost confidence in his ability to lead the country. Now, the other person who has been, you know, signaled out as a potential successor is Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor. I don't think he'd be that much different from your average Tory, to be honest. I mean, everyone in this party is complicit in some degree to Boris Johnson assuming power. They are complicit in Brexit. They are complicit in pretty much the disastrous policies that they have pursued since 2010. So it is true that Boris Johnson is by far the worst of the lot. By far. This is like saying Trump is the worst Republican. Yes, that is true. But that doesn't mean that the rest of the party will, you know, there won't be a magic improvement in policy making in Britain if Boris Johnson goes and any other Tory clown replaces him. But if anything, it might make things harder for Labour under Keir Starmer to effectively mount an opposition, because he's been terribly ineffective at it. So there is that risk that a more competent Tory would make it harder for Keir Starmer to ever become Prime Minister. But as it stands, Boris Johnson is done. He is done. There is no one in their right minds probably thinks right now that he's going to escape this crisis. There's already the most senior Tory in Scotland has said that he had to resign, and this might be the snowball that turns into an avalanche in the next couple of days, with other senior Tories calling for his resignation. And the best sign of it again was watching those prime minister questions, hearing the laughter on the Labour side as he's getting mocked, and hearing absolute silence from the Tory benches, which if you've watched Prime Minister questions in the past, you will always know that there is, constant back and forth in the reaction of the backbenchers on each party. The utter silence on the Tory side was very damning, in my view, at least compared to other exchanges. So yeah, he's gone, and that's a good thing. He never deserved to be prime minister. He was a narcissist and a sociopath that people should have realized this from the start. And I think from a party perspective, the fact is that Boris Johnson was chosen because he was seen as a guy who, for all his faults, was the one guy who could bring about Brexit. The slogan of his campaign in 2019 was "Get Brexit Done." And I think they voted for him just for that, not because of his political abilities. They have tolerated him because, again, there seems to be this very strange appeal of narcissistic buffoons to the British public that I will never understand. But yeah, he got Brexit done. And now that he did that, he has no function left as prime minister. So good riddance to bad rubbish. And I hope this man never, ever is in a position of power, because he is dangerous. He's a malignant figure, and few people have done more damage to the country than this man in less than a term. Good riddance. Good riddance. If you like this video, please like, please share. Most importantly, please subscribe, and I will see you next time.